Hours of Praise have decided to support a charity, and you're going to very quickly hear about that charity. They've decided to support the Manhood Academy, and coming to speak very briefly on their behalf, can we welcome Davis Williams and Dennis Bosulwa. Can we put our hands together for them as they come?
Good evening and greetings, family. Unfortunately, Davis had to run off quickly because he had daddy duties. He had to pick his little prince up from a birthday party. So unfortunately, he had to rush off really quickly. I would just basically like to thank Hours of Praise for all the support that they have offered Manhood Academy Global. Last year, in fact, not December, not even last year, 24th of December 2018, Manhood Academy Global took a group of 14 young masters to the Gambia on an African rites of passage. And Hours of Praise was very instrumental in helping us raise funds. Manhood Academy is a charity that's basically supported by our community. We do not rely on funds from the government or the state, and all the funds that basically help us do all the work that we do come from the community. So I just basically wanted to thank Hours of Praise for all your support. Thank you very much. Okay, so basically starting with the story of how Manhood Academy came about. In, I think it's 2014, Davis Williams took a trip to the Gambia. He's not originally from Africa, he's of West Indian descent. So he took a trip to Gambia. He'd been thinking about going to Africa for a long time, but he'd been putting it off. And eventually in 2014, he decided to take the trip to Gambia, and he happened to take his youngest daughter. Next slide, please. So he took his daughter, Princess Michaela, just waiting for that picture to come up. Here she is in Gambia. And so basically, and this is what happens all the time, a lot of times, I was fortunate that I actually grew up in Africa and lived there till I was 12 before I came to the UK. But a lot of African children that are born in the UK get told stories about Africa and what Africa's like. You know, that you got lions roaming the streets and, you know, all kind of wild animals. So these are the kind of stories that she grew up hearing, and she was really reluctant to go to Africa. But when she got to Africa, she actually realized that it wasn't at all like what she'd been told, and had a really great time. Now, while she was in Africa, next slide, please. Based on all the different excursions and the different trips that she was going to, Davis asked her to basically write about your experiences, write about all the things that you've done. And it was like a bit of homework, something for her to do when she was away from school. And she did that, and when they got back, he actually looked at what she'd written, and he thought, you know what, you could actually have something here. So they compiled all the stories, and she's now an author at the age of 12. Okay, the name of the book is entitled My First Trip to the Gambia. And basically, the purpose of that book was her writing about her experiences, the preconceptions that she had before she went to Africa, and also to encourage other children of African descent who are actually born in the UK or the West that haven't been to Africa, that, yes, Africa isn't exactly what, you know, it's not what you get told in the books or, you know, these videos of, you know, starving kids with flies all over their faces and things like that. Okay, next slide, please. Right, so while Brother Davis was in the Gambia, now Davis has been doing youth work and working with young people on the streets for over 20 years. Now, while he was in the Gambia, the things that he saw and the experiences that he had in regards to the personal impact that it had on him, it gave him the vision of putting together an organization that will teach young African children about who they are, about their identity and their heritage. Now, there's a lot of violence, there's a lot of madness happening on the streets, and the reason that is happening is because a lot of these young boys and a lot of these young girls have lost their sense of identity. Now, the purpose of Manhood Academy is to educate young black boys, especially, and a lot of them come from single-parent families, to basically educate them about their greatness and that their identity and who they actually are. We also have a partner organization, a sister organization called Manhood Academy that does exactly the same job that we do, but they do that with our young queens. Thanks. Next slide, please. Okay, now we've all heard this saying, right? It takes a village. It takes a village to raise a child. Now what we got here, all right, is a village. Now you've got kids that can freely run, and they know that wherever they go, that they're safe. There's somebody looking over them. Now, I was fortunate to spend the first 5 years of my life growing up in an African village before I went to the city. So I was one of these kind of village boys. I had my own herd of sheep that I took out to pasture and all of that, running around barefoot. And there's a story I recall one time. I took these sheep out, and it's the first time that I'd taken them out. And I had a stick that I used to kind of keep them in line and keep them along the path, and they decided to run off in all different directions. So I kind of ran off in one direction looking for the other one, turned around, and the others are gone. So I was out there for about 3 hours trying to chase these sheep down and run these sheep down. And one of my uncles went looking for me, and everywhere he went, they were like, "Oh yeah, I saw where he went that way," right? Now, the reason I'm saying that is, even though I felt that I was lost and I was running here, there, everywhere, right, I was being watched by everyone, so everybody was watching my back, and people knew, what I was doing and where I was. So, once again, it takes a village to raise a child, and that's one of the most important lessons that we try, or one of the things that we try to do for the young people that we work with, is to create that village and create that circle of support that they need. Next slide, please. All right, so it takes a village to raise a child. But now, who remembers the riots that took part in North London a few years ago in Tottenham, especially the Tottenham area? All right. Now, what you had happening in those riots, and it's not the first time it's happened, is you had people looting and burning down buildings and shops. Now, the situation that we get nowadays with a lot of young people is that they are in the community, but they do not feel part of the community. Right? They're in the community, but they don't feel a part of it. Now, what happens when we do not initiate or bring our young people in the community is they will burn it down, right? They will destroy things because, these things don't mean anything to them. All right, next slide, please. All right, and here's the saying, right? The child who is not embraced by the village will burn it down to feel its warmth, right? If we do not initiate or embrace our young people and bring them into the village, they will burn it down just to feel its warmth if they stay out on the outside. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so part of the program that we run is helping young black boys make that transition from being boys to men. All right, make the transition from being boys into men. Next slide, please. Now, there comes the question, when does a boy become a man? A boy becomes a man when, who can finish that sentence off for me? A boy becomes a man when? All right, so, when does a man become a boy? There's different opinions, and there'll be different answers, right? So, some people might say a boy becomes a man when he's 6 foot tall, or a boy becomes a man, and we teach these young masters that being a male is a matter of birth, but being a man is a matter of choice, in terms of stepping up into your community and being a provider in your community and taking an active role and taking responsibility. Next slide, please. Okay, now here's another saying. Heal the boy and the man will appear. All right, heal the boy and the man will appear. There's a lot of grown boys walking around masquerading as men, because deep down they are broken, right? They are hurting, and that is why they are causing so much destruction. Now, one of the works that we really do is to work on enabling or facilitating that healing to take place, so these young masters will naturally or grow into the manhood or the greatness of who they are. Next slide, please. Now, in 2019, Manhood Academy got nominated for a BAFTA award. There's a documentary that was shot when we took some young masters on basically took them away from their normal environment and took them away on a residential. And that residential was documented by video and by the BBC, and were nominated for a BAFTA award in 2019. You can actually find this on BBC iPlayer. Okay, it's called From Boys to Men. So I'd really implore you guys to check it out. Next slide, please. Just checking how much time I got left. Okay, now some of the services that we provide at Manhood Academy Global are one-to-one support, for, a lot of mothers or single parent families, or even, and that's the other thing that we do. We support, there's a lot of young masters that come and their mothers and fathers actually turn up to the sessions as well. So not every single young person that we work with comes from a single parent home or an underprivileged home. But what we do is offer that extra, that larger, once again, just expand that village. So they've got a lot more people that they call upon. We also offer family support. We offer residentials, just like I just explained, just taking these young people out of their normal environments and taking them away. You'd be surprised the effect that it has on young people when you take them 2 hours away from London. You would be surprised that they become completely different people and are able to really express who they truly are. We also offer the Rites of Passage program in Africa, to Africa. We also work and run programs in schools, prisons, and youth clubs. All right, so we try and offer help in all areas. We have volunteers that have got experience right across the board, and we try and really call on that experience. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, now 2021, okay, is what we've called the Year of Return, and that is when we're going to hold our next Rites of Passage trip to Africa, or to the Gambia. And once again, if it's something that you're interested in, and if you want your son to journey with us to Africa, it's mainly teenagers only. So we work with pre-teens who are 8 to 12 years old, and then we work with teenagers who are 13 to 19 years old. So if it's something that you'd like to get one of your young master involved in the Rites of Passage trip to Gambia, then please get in touch. Now, once again, the Rites of Passage programs for young men, okay, guiding a new generation. And in 2021, we are looking to take 20 teenagers to Africa for a 10-day Rites of Passage. Now, when we went in 2018, you should have seen the scenes at Gatwick Airport. We asked all the young masters to take their mobile phones and hand them over to their mothers. So they basically were in the Gambia for 10 days, right? No access to the internet, right? And no access to distractions whatsoever, all right? And once again, you will see the difference that can really make. Once again, the purpose of the Rites of Passage, right, is a transformational trip and cultural experience to teach them about manhood, their culture, heritage, and to help them develop a sense of tradition, and to help them, and with the help of AGA Tours, which is basically Angela Graham Association Tours, is the company that helped to facilitate the whole journey. So I think that's a sign that I'm out of time. Once again, I would like to thank Hours of Praise for your financial support, and once again, thank you very much. Thank you.
Come on, let's put our hands together and appreciate. All right. Usually when I'm in church and it's time for offering, I sort of like lean my head to one side and like, well, let me hear what you're going to say. Now I have to raise an offering. What am I going to say? No, on a serious note, we're going to raise an offering. The offering is not for hours of praise. The offering is for the Manhood Academy. Okay? I don't have any scripture for you to make you give. I'm not going to wind you. I'm not going to tell you that 1,000 has 3 zeros. I'm not going to tell you that take how many years you've been living and sow £1 for it. No, just if you want to give, give. If you feel led to give, if you have something in your pocket, if you feel that what they're doing is beneficial, and more young masters, as they call them, should have access to this, please, within yourself, no amount is too small, no amount is too big. There's supposed to be somebody on the organ helping me to work this thing. There's nobody there, so people are going to go around. I think they'll have envelopes or baskets. See, my organ guy is coming. I'll wait for you. Let's work this thing. Let me see how this thing works. Remember, emotion. Get them. See, you know, stir it up. Then I'm supposed to tell you that somebody gave me this jacket. I'm joking. After I sewed. No. All right. We're now going to collect an offering on behalf of the Manhood Academy. Please, anything you feel led to give. At the same time, we're going to have the worship team and Mobiola that are going to come. Please put your hands in your pockets, dig deep, and let us appreciate these guys.